Okay, now what we just did, and I didn't have the camera on, so I kind of have to recap it. So, you know, the question is, for the relabeled function, we want to estimate f of 0.5, right? Well, the relabeled function is the function where we read our numbers off of the relabeled x and y axis. Okay? So what I did was, okay, so f of 0.5 means what? F of 0.5 means that you got f of x, but x has been replaced by 0.5, right? So it means that 0.5 is your x value, and you want to find the y value that goes with that, because that's what f of x is. F of x is the y value, x is what you plug in for x. Okay? So, what I did was I said, okay, I'm going to blindly move my hand across the axis, tell me where to stop, and people did good. I finally stopped about here, but you know my reflexes. Okay, so we got 0.5 here, right? So there's our x value. We want to know what the y value is for this function, which means we've got to find the point on the graph where x equals 0.5. Well, that's easy to do. We just go up here. There it is, right? There's the point. And then we project over here. We'll come up a little more than 2. Okay, because 2 is down here. This is up here. So we estimated that f of 0.5 was about 2.1. That's what comes out on the graph. So we write, okay, our estimate is f of 0.5 equals 2.1, approximately equals 2.1. Okay? Now we want to evaluate f of 0.5 because we do have the formula that's supposed to fit this function. And we reasoned that out a minute ago. We reasoned out why it should be this, but that should never convince anybody until you check it out. Okay? And that's what we're doing. So we've got this estimate for f of 0.5. Now we plug in 0.5. So f of 0.5 is what? Well, f of x equals this. So f of 0.5 has to be whatever this is when you replace x by 0.5. X has been replaced by 0.5, so you replace it. And we get then 2 times 0.5 plus 1 quantity squared minus 2. Okay? Well, 0.5 plus 1 is 1.5, that's 1.5 or 3 halves. Square that, you get 9/4, which is 2 1/4. And you ought to be able to do those fractions. But anyhow, that's okay. And if you do it with decimals, of course, you can do that. 1.5 squared is 2.25. Okay? 2 times 2.25 is 4.5, right? 4.25. Okay? And you subtract 2, and you get 2.25. Now I'm mixing fractions and decimals. And really what I'm doing is I'm trying to indicate that you ought to be able to do it with fractions or decimals, and they ought to agree. Otherwise, you don't know fractions or you don't know decimals, and you shouldn't be using a calculator. Okay? I mean, if it was 1.387 that you had to square, sure, use the calculator. Square 1.5, but
It's 2.5.
No, it's 2 1/4.
no, sorry.
Why is it 2 1/4?
If you multiply half by half, it gives you 1/4.
Yes.
And then
Just check your multiplication.
We did 2 times 2.25.
Yeah, I'm not worried about you being able to do the multiplication. I know you can do it. You had some kind of little brain freeze at one point in your multiplication, and that happens. Just try not to let it happen on the test. Okay. So anyhow, there it is. Now, my point is, so did this whole process give us a consistent result? Well, we estimated from a graph that I sketched that this would be 2.1, right? You know I can't sketch a graph that well. My parabolas are always lopsided. Something's wrong with this parabola, I know it. Okay? So my estimate, we don't expect an estimate on my graph, and you don't expect it on your own graph either, although a lot of you do better graphs than I do, okay? You don't expect to get to 2.25. You might get 2.2 or 2.3, which would be close to what I got. But you don't expect to be able to estimate that hundredth, okay? And if you do, that's great. But we got estimated 2.1. What we did here tells us it should be 2.25, and we say, yeah, it worked. Okay? You could take any other x value, any other number here, project up to here, over to here, to get your y value, then plug it into this function. You're going to get something close if you've got a half-decent graph. Again, my graph, half-decent is about as good as I can do. About as well as I can do if I want to do it good. Make sense? Everything except what I just said. Okay?